Hello. I think I'm on a minute or so early, if I'm correct. What do we got here? Nope, it is 8 o'clock on the dot. I am right on time. Let me get this set up here. I think I need something to balance this on. Okay. So, I have decided to do tonight's class on my bed. Partly because I don't have a lot of other space going on in the house. I'm surrounded by a bunch of moving boxes. And secondly, because there's some sounds going on from the TV that I'd like to avoid. In fact, I think the fans are creating a little extra sound. Let's actually take those off too. There's a couple fans on the side there. So I'm going to show a couple different things that we can do kind of with the edge of the bed and just a different surface, really just change the scenery. And perhaps some of you are using this class as kind of a preparation for sleep. So this might be a nice way to kind of use your bed to your advantage. It does change the surface of what some of the poses are. So I'm going to keep a lot of this in the kneeling department. So this should be really comfy for the knees. But because there's squish to this mattress, yours may also have squish, and that would add a little bit of instability. So although we add cushion, that doesn't take away from what we're doing with our core stabilization. So hopefully you enjoy it. You certainly can do it on the floor or on your mat if that's what you desire, but I'm just trying out a new position here. And soon there will be a brand new space as I embark on my new home and recreate my beautiful yoga space. So you'll hopefully have some nice scenery coming up. So we're going to just start in a seated position. Certainly if this is not comfortable, you could always just sit on the edge of your bed so that you're in a true seated position. And the nice part about this is that my feet are connected with the floor, and that provides a sensation of grounding into the earth. So actually I think now that I'm here, I'm going to stay here. I'm going to rest my hands on my lap. Let's close our eyes and begin to take in some nice soft breath. Again, once we close our eyes, we close out the rest of the world. We close out the perception of the world, allowing for us to truly turn inward. See if you can make your breath audible. And just to further set our intention, let's take 5 more full cycles of breath. After that last cycle of breath, let's go ahead and soften the eyes and open them. I don't know about you, but I have not slowed down at all today until that moment, and wow, it's very powerful. So let's begin with opening up some of the hamstrings. So I'm going to leave one leg off of the edge of the bed. I'm going to scoot over this way so it's a little bit easier to see. I'm going to take my other leg and just rest it up on top of the bed. So this one's just bent and reaching the floor. If your bed's really high off the surface of the floor, you could always just let it dangle, or you could grab a stool or something to kind of place it under, or just rest it on the bed. So here you see I've got a little bit of cradling here, but behind my knee, so I'm not really getting a perfectly straight position, but that's okay. Sometimes we don't have to be in perfect straightness in order to get the best out of our posture. So I am going to, flex the toes back just like we normally do so that we do get some engagement. And then just starting to fold over that front thigh so we open up the hamstring. And I'm going to fully fold by tucking my chin towards my chest and fully allowing the back body to begin releasing. So Let's make 5 breaths our theme tonight. So I'm going to go ahead and do 5 cycles of breath here. And you should start to feel a progressive release in the back body. Every exhalation you might feel like you get a little closer to the thigh. The inhalation will fill up the belly and the chest so that it might actually push you away from the thigh momentarily. I'm going to use my hands to help push myself back upright. This is already just feeling like exactly what I needed. I hope it's what you need. And we're going to make this an easy transition by just bending this knee, and I'm just going to scoot forward a little bit. So this is a really nice supported pseudo pigeon. We're just taking out that back leg from the equation, or from sitting on the floor and being kind of in that propped position I sometimes normally do. Hello, good evening, Robin. So we're going to go ahead and use this edge of the bed to fold over this thigh, and you can change your angle. You can go closer to the toes or closer to the knee. I'm just going to keep it neutral forward. You bend forward at an angle that allows you to feel a stretch through somewhere in the right pelvis. So I'm going to stretch my arms out in front and just find that really nice fold again. I want to support my head, so I'm going to stack my fists so that my forehead is resting if I can't already reach it to the bed. I think mine can. Yes, it can. So I'm just going to rest it here. And again, 5 cycles of breath is going to be our theme. But every exhalation, deepen your postures. And after that 5th breath, go ahead and just walk the forearms back, followed by the hands, so you can push out of that position pretty easily. I'm going to just shuffle forward again so I'm more easily seen. With this leg hanging off the edge of the bed, it's going to make it a little easier to get some leverage. So I'm going to leave my leg this way, but you could always have it out straight if you wanted to. But see if you can reach up and grab your ankle or the foot of the leg that's dangling. And I'm going to go ahead and pull that back into a quadricep stretch. So now we're still all on one side before we make our way to the other side. But this is going to be a nice hip opener. Again, the bed's just really soft and squishy tonight, so it's just helping support me. Now my shoulder is collapsing in a little bit as I hold my ankle and foot with this grip, so just consider keeping the chest nice and open. Palm grip on the inside would be helpful here, but it's a little bit harder to do with the hand squishing into the bed. So I'm just going to be aware of that with my shoulder alignment. Unfortunately, I have the camera to stare back at, so I can see my alignment well this way. So we're going to just hold the posture up nice and tall. Hopefully you feel a good stretch. If not, you want to try and pull that thigh back a little bit deeper. I don't really need to because I feel a fantastic stretch through my quad. There's a little bit of an inner thigh stretch occurring just as it's hanging off the edge of the bed. So a really nice way to comfortably get that quad stretched without worrying about balance, without laying on your stomach or your side. Just again, alternatives are fantastic because sometimes we need those modifications. So I'm just going to cup my other knee just so I have some more leverage to kind of pull my spine nice and tall. I'm going to gaze in this direction because it's going to keep my neck a little bit more square. We've already been here for a few cycles of breath, so let's just take 2 more. There we go. Let's go ahead and release that leg off the edge of the mat. And before we get too carried away, let's go ahead and switch to the other side. So I'm just flipping around this way. I'm going to scoot to the edge and just bring that leg up on the edge of the mat like we did on the first one for that hamstring stretch forward fold. So again, you can flex the toes back towards your face to help enhance this stretch. It's not 100% necessary, but it will enhance your stretch. And then just start to take your body rounding over that thigh, comfy with the bed. tucking the chin towards your chest and taking those breaths where you'll feel the inhale kind of push away, exhale go a little bit deeper. And use that rhythmic breath to really just ooze and relax. Again, 5 full cycles of breath. We're already on number 2 or 3, depending on where your count's at. Once you feel satisfied, you can start walking the arms all the way back up. Of course, some of this is educational purposes to just get a lot of different positions in, but if you really resonate with any of these, then you can certainly do them for longer holds. I'm gonna bend that knee in and prepare for that rotator stretch. My other leg is still just kind of dangling off on the edge. I'm just propped on the ball of my foot to kind of help prevent me from rolling off the side here. And I'm just gonna let my arms reach forward, coming down to my forearms, resting my forehead, the left pelvis begin to open up a little bit deeper. 5 full cycles of breath. I could stay here for a lot longer, but let's ooze our way back up top. Let me just slide forward a little bit. So again, you can keep this leg here. You've been using the knee as a little bit of leverage. I'm gonna bend the right knee so I can grab my ankle and foot. And you don't want to just be here, although if you have really tight quadriceps, just bringing that heel towards the buttocks, you may actually feel a stretch through the quad, but we're going for kind of a full hip extension here. So I'm going to really pull my leg back, and you can see I'm not even quite hitting my neutral position because I do have that heel towards the buttocks. And I'm feeling a fantastic stretch here, so I don't really need to pull it much deeper, but I am going to pay attention to this shoulder and just allow it to open up more so I'm not collapsing through the chest. Normally in dancer posture, you would be standing and the arm would be grabbing from the inside ankle and foot, so it would help promote this a little bit more. The bed's just making it a little harder to achieve that. When you're doing bow pulling posture, which is when you're laying on your stomach and grabbing back at both ankles and feet, typically that is on the outside grip, just like how I have it now. So just a little bit of facts on yoga for you if you like exploring other poses. And I did get a low battery sign, so I just want to close out of that because otherwise it kicks off my my video feed. So let's lift the spine tall. We can let that chest be nice and proud. Pull that leg back so you can feel a nice sensation through the front of the hip. Most of us have spent the day in some level of sitting or flexion, so this is going to really help reverse some of that. I think it's pretty safe to say that many of us spend most of the day in flexion, myself included, because I'm treating patients all day. So we'll keep that spine tall, chest open and lifted, and let's finish this up with 2 more full cycles of breath. Very good. I'm going to go ahead and release that leg back down to the floor, and we're going to come fully onto the bed or fully onto your mat if you chose to do this on the floor. And let's go ahead and take a nice soft child's pose. So I love, my personal preference is wide-kneed child's poses, but you can certainly have the knees closer together if that's more comfortable for your lower back. But I'm going to go ahead and go wide with the knees and then just walk my arms forward. I can even grip the edge of the bed. I'm going to scoot back so I've got a little bit of added traction on the edge of the edge of the mattress. Here we are tonight. And then I can let that forehead rest down. After that 5th breath, let's go ahead and rise back up. We're gonna scoot forward again a little bit differently. So with my right leg, I'm gonna kind of slide it forward so that I'm more square, but my back left leg, I'm gonna straighten it out. So I know it's kind of directly behind, but I'm actually trying to get that full hip extension now, but my knee is not bent, so you should be able to get a little bit more extension than when the knee is bent. So I'm just gonna square myself here and use the bed as a little added pressure. So it'd be kind of like pretending like we had blocks, if you will. And then this is a way for me to keep my chest nice and lifted. It's gonna be a deep stretch, so if hopefully your foot is reaching the floor, or you have a low enough bed to the floor, because this would be really challenging otherwise. But even still, if your foot was forward and you were off the edge of the bed, kind of more like this with a little bit more space in the groin, that's totally fine. You're gonna get the stretch either way. So I'm just going for kind of a full support in the mattress. And so this would kind of mimic like a really deep crescent lunge if we did have the back toes lifted up, but it's just a great way to either prep for if you're working towards perhaps splits, but any kind of hip extension, again, is going to be really good for our body. And since we're here, let's add a side bend if you feel comfortable. So I'm going to keep my right hand connected with the mattress and lift that left arm up towards the ceiling so that now I'm really elongating this entire left side of my body. And it's not necessary to actually side bend, but I'm just reaching upward and I'm already feeling some fantastic opening in my ribs and the obliques. So if you wanted to go deeper, you certainly can take the side bend, but for me tonight, this feels fantastic, so I don't really feel the need to go much deeper. I'm also using the upward lift. Well, it's an upward lift, so I'm using the fingertips reaching up to help promote my spine lifting taller, so it feels quite nice. Hi, Lynn. Welcome. I have a pretty bad vision, so I have to really squint to see what's going on. We're gonna just go ahead and release that arm back down, and we can just take this leg and just slide it all the way back over here, and then we can take the other leg and just swivel it around, bringing it straight back. So before we didn't take a full pigeon, we kind of did a half pigeon with the front leg. This is kind of making up for some of the other half a pigeon if we were to be doing it in full expression. Boy, this side's a little tighter, so I'm gonna scoot forward, and that's gonna create a little bit more space in my groin area. I'm gonna put my fingertips on the edge of the mat and allow that chest to lift up nice and tall, nice broad shoulders here. If you wanna add the upward reach, you can go ahead and take that right arm up, which will certainly open the pelvis, open the ribs, open the obliques. Just really nice, comfy, supportive stretches. It's always nice to use props. There's a lot of cool ways to use the furniture and the things around your house. So you might as well take advantage of it for some of these lovely stretches. It's the 5th cycle of breath on my count. Of course, if you're not quite there, you can take that extra moment. I'm going to go ahead and just lean and swivel that leg back around. So coming back to seated. We're just going to let the legs chill out for a moment as we just did a lot on them. Nothing too fancy here, but let's even out our arm stretching. So I'm just going to take my right arm and cross it over my body. My left arm can either cup at the elbow or you can even hook it at the forearm. I'm just going to let those arms relax as I pull the other arm across my body. I'm going to get a fantastic stretch from the back of the shoulder blade, wrapping around that arm. If you want to use your bed, you could certainly... That's so cute. Yeah, it's a great substitute, great added use of your prop underneath the bed. That's great. Especially if your bed's high. We can blame it on the bed being too high versus you being too short. But I am part of the short people status club. So you can also, my butt's gonna kind of come to the camera here, but if you want to be on the edge of your bed and then take your arm and come down like a thread the needle, you can also use that as a pressure against the mattress to kind of help with some of that rotation. So that I'm not facing you guys that way. I'm gonna just stay this way with my shoulder for now, but that is an alternative if you wanted to use the mattress. Your mat rests. Kind of like how that sounds. And then we're gonna go ahead and open the arms back up. Let's just take a nice T position for a moment. Or you can open your arms up on the edge of the mattress, and then we'll take the other arm, cross it over, swoop that other arm there, or taking hand to elbow, even hand to shoulder might be possible. I like this position. I think it's nice and comfortable. I feel like I have a really good arm bar to help pull that left arm across my body. Again, I've got the camera in front of me so I can see what's going on with my left shoulder, but the tendency is for it to kind of hike up towards the ear. Try and keep it level, like the same height as the other shoulder, and that will just help with some good alignment. We're not really rounding through the body to do this, but still keeping the chest broad so that the pull is still coming from the shoulder blade and the spinal levels. This is a great stretch. How am I doing on time? I've kind of checked out. Oh, we're doing great. Let's go ahead and open those arms up, and then let's take them behind the back. Now, I'm actually gonna shift my body forward a little bit. This may or may not be possible, but I'm gonna grip my hands together and get them connected kind of against the mattress like this. And then I'm gonna just kind of slide my body down onto the floor and use the mattress as a way, I think you guys can see from here, as a way to really open up those shoulders. So it's a deep one. So if you are already challenged by just maybe reaching the arms behind your back, then you can just stay sitting on the edge of the mat and doing that. Even just trying to touch the mattress or get behind you, that's great. But if you wanted something a little bit deeper, then this might be possible. Might feel good. It's a deep one though, so just be ready for it. Don't tear your shoulders off in the process. But if you do, I'm a physical therapist, so I can help you with that as well. Feels so good. Our chest just tends to get so tight throughout the day because we hold things in our heart. I do. Lots of things. So I have to work in my yoga practice to let things go again. So since I'm already on the floor, it's going to be easier for me to kind of exit strategy this way. I'm just going to let my arms rest on the mat for a moment. I'm actually pressing my palms down into the mat to just kind of find some space in my neck. It feels really nice. And then I'm going to slide my elbows back to kind of push myself up onto the mattress. So we've done a couple different leg positions. Let's go ahead, and I said that in the beginning of the video we were going to do all this kneeling stuff, and we haven't done anything in kneeling yet. So let's do some. I'm going to come back onto the mat. We're going to come up into kneeling, which should feel a little squishy. If you want more of a challenge, your knees coming together would be just a little bit more challenging for balance. But if you're challenged by that and you don't want to worry about balance today, then just separate the knees a little bit more apart. We're going to take a gentle camel stretch, which is a good deep back bend. So if I'm standing on the side like this, I might want to bring the balls of my feet into the mattress so that I've got a little bit higher of a grip to reach towards. So we can start by just taking our hands on the back of the pelvis, squeeze the elbows together, and just slightly take that back bend. And this may be as far as you choose to go today. It's going to really open up the entire front body all the way down to the knees. If you have any kind of lower back pain or compression, you want to make sure you add squeezing those glutes in this direction. So you want to engage them, not just push them. So make sure that you engage in pelvic tilt so that you're really arching through that tummy, and then allowing a little bit of overpressure. That's going to keep things safe. And then if I slide one hand back, I can reach one of my ankles and then the other. So now I've got a really nice back bend happening. And I'm going to let that head and neck float backward, maybe all the way. Stretching the entire spine. Again, you don't have to grab the ankles, just kneeling upright is really a lot. And then if you've chosen to be down here, we don't need to stay here long. I'm just gonna take one hand up to the pelvis, followed by the other. Push and rise, coming back up. Just pause for a moment here because you might get, a little dizziness is okay, a lot of dizziness not so much. So just take your time. I'm gonna uncurl the toes and sit back on those heels. If that's not possible, you can throw a block or a pillow even like underneath those thighs to help add some support. So we kind of come back to that kneel. Very good. And let's do another low lunge, just because I think everything extension is fantastic. Right now I'm holding on to way too much in the front body and just a lot of lifting and packing and things like that. So we're gonna bring the right leg forward and slide the left knee backward. Well, at least I'm doing it that way just so I can be in the center of the camera. And you can see that this thigh, the way I have the knee stacked right above the ankle, I've got my hands kind of resting on the mattress. And let me face this way so that I want to show a couple other variations. So my hands are on the inside of my foot. It can be surrounded if that feels a little bit more comfortable, but I really want to kind of create space for my trunk and torso to be able to come down a little bit deeper. Some variations, if you're flexible enough, you might be able to, I can just almost do it, drop both forearms down, but it's a little too challenging for me right now. If I spend a little bit more time here, probably could. And so that's true for many of you. If you spend longer time, you might be able to ooze into deeper versions of these postures. But you can also just let that leg flop out to the side, which also creates more forward bending space. So that feels really good. If you want to add a twist, you can reach up towards the sky with the right arm in this case, which will help to add a twist. That might feel nice on the spine. So a couple different variations from this, really opening up the body. Let's go ahead and take the arm back down if you chose to lift it. I'm going to flop that leg out to the side, push into the mat, slide back, just pause in a child's pose. I'm going to come back forward and just swap my other leg out, so I'll face you guys on this one, I guess, too. And so we'll take the left leg forward. I'm just sinking into the front of the right pelvis. This should be much more familiar because we've done several things to open up the pelvis today. Again, I'm creating some space for my trunk to kind of come down. I'm just going to test and see this side. I've got about the same amount of motion where this elbow's just not quite as comfortable or ready yet to be in that position. So a variable that you may want to do. I'm going to let that leg flop out towards the side. I like to be even, so I'm going to do the same thing that I did on the other side and take that left arm up into a twist. And I'm a little wobbly because this is a little squishy, so you might be too, and that's okay. That's going to help challenge the body in different ways. These are, of course, fantastic on the floor too. I'm going to go ahead and release that arm, push into the mat, slide that leg back, just drop in a child's pose for a moment. And I'm going to rise back up, and I believe I'm probably, pretty much at time. Okay, so again, if this is your preparation before bed, then maybe set your alarm now so that you're ready and you don't drift off into a sleep and then wake up in a panic because you're late for work and you drifted off into such a deep sleep. But if not, and you kind of know that you're just taking a little mini step before you go to bed fully, then this might be a time where you can get on your back and let your legs extend out. Let me slither forward so my head is viewable. And my arms are just resting alongside my body. Another alternative would be legs up the wall. So since we do have potentially a wall or a backboard available, you can always scoot like this and put your legs up the wall, which is so therapeutically beneficial for your body. And the arms, again, I just have resting alongside my body this way. If you feel like you have to really hold your legs, you can always take a strap and kind of tie them together so that they're just held in this position. You can rest in this position, this position, this position. It's really whatever feels comfortable for you. It feels so good, but I don't know that I'm as heard that far away from the camera. So personally, I probably would have stayed there if it were me, because that felt really fantastic. But for you all, I'm just going to leave you with a few words to finalize your practice this evening. So as you settle in and melt into your mattress and know that this is your kind of final resting place of the evening, allow it to truly be rest. We spend so much of our day in a giving mode, perhaps. At least I know a lot of the viewers are. We give, and it is fulfilling for us to give to others because we get a lot of reward out of helping other people. But we also have to know that we cannot fill anybody's cup up if we are empty ourselves. So this is a great opportunity for us to fill our cup and to really feel nourished and hydrated, and that we have the fuel that we need in order to continue helping share whatever gifts that we have for the world. So when you rest in this position, have zero sensations of guilt or any kind of selfishness that you're taking this time to do this, because it's not. It's really important that you carve out self-care and that you allow yourself to truly rest in the idea that you are just as important as everybody else, and that your ability to connect with that present moment is essential. So take a few more nice, long, deep breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth. Let's do that 2 more times. Allow the weight of your body to be held in whatever position you're in. Feel the calmness and stillness and the movement of your breath freely traveling and allowing you to explore the depths of your mind. Bring yourself back to the present moment and the present breath. Please spend as much time as you'd like here. Your Shavasana is the most important part of your practice. It's where you integrate everything. Spend time meditating and spend time with yourselves for self-care. The light and honor in me respects and honors the light in all of you. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. I needed it a lot, so thank you. I appreciate it. Namaste to you all. And I'll see you guys next week.